I know the company that you represent, LexisNexis, and you in particular are very interested in the specific area of legal tech, and in particular in startups and in entrepreneurship in legal tech. And I would like to start by asking you if you can give us your own definition of legal tech, and how is legal tech relevant for LexisNexis?
Very good. So there are usually two ways to understand what the legal tech is, and I'll try. I know that lawyers love definitions, right? We need to define what we're talking about, but there are two competing definitions there. So the first one would be to say legal techs. When we're talking about legal techs, we're talking about the startups, and it's a fair definition. It makes sense, and this is the way we talk in other industries like the fintechs and everything. So that's one way to see it. I like to define it another way, which is say the legal tech, it's the entire ecosystem of startups and non-startups that are bringing technology to solve legal issues, solve legal professional pain points. And in that understanding, which I like because it makes LexisNexis a key player of the legal tech industry, we could say that we are a very old startup. Some of our operations are more than 200 years, actually. Wow. If you look at Butterworth in the UK, it was founded back in 1818. So we have some very old startups part of the group, but we also have more recent startups that have joined the LexisNexis family across the globe. So you have, for instance, Lex Machina in the US, MLex in the UK, more recently closed in France, Cobitech in South Africa, so the list goes on and on, obviously, because we are also an investor in the field of legal tech.
And so legal solutions. So LexisNexis is interested in investing in legal solutions. And I'd like to ask you to explain to us, when LexisNexis and other multinational large companies like LexisNexis look to invest or look to acquire in startups in legal tech, what is it that you're looking for? What have you found in those that you named? And in particular, what I'd like to understand is how are these startups in legal tech, how can you make them grow to different regions? How can you make them global? Is there a way to find a legal tech startup that you can bring to implement activities in other regions? How do you make them more global?
So there's no magic formula nor recipe that I can share easily with you. And so I'll be mostly talking about what we've achieved in the past to make that more real and concrete. I guess if you look at the past acquisitions that LexisNexis has made across the globe, we'll find that most of the time we are keen to find some innovative ways to solve legal pain points, legal professional pain points, to work on a specific use case and bring value. And that can be done through technology or not. I mean, we've been active in legal information and publishing content. For instance, practical guidance is a way to innovate without pure technology, but with knowledge. So what we want to find is innovation in a form that can be technological, that can be different, but that will bring value to legal professionals. We're working mostly for legal professionals, we're trying to serve them the best way we can, and we're seeing a lot of startups that are doing amazing things to support legal professionals and to solve customer pain points. We like to also find ways to scale internationally. Just like you said, the law is something that's very local. I mean, it's a living thing, you know, the law. It's changing all the time. It's not the case of all the industries that you can look at. So that makes it something very interesting, but also very challenging. So it's changing all the time, and it tends to be very local. We have different legal systems across the globe, and so we need to take into account what's specific in each and every country. So a lot of what we do, a lot of our products are local. Content is local, for instance. But we try to find ways to create synergies, to scale internationally, to get, like global leverageable components and technology that can do that. And if you look at past acquisition, and I can discuss specifically like the most recent one that is closed in France, Close is really solving issues related to a specific use case, which is transaction management. Very complex legal project management involving multiple parties when you need to make people work together that are not part of the same organization, that will work together only for a limited time on a specific project. So they need to share confidential information. They need to work jointly on a project, achieve a lot of things. And so they created that platform. Obviously, it involves technology. They developed that very well. But they've also been working a lot on the use case, on what we're trying to achieve. Where is the value for the lawyers that are going to use that product, but also for the third parties. So companies, VCs that are going to use Close.com. So that's a great example. And with this very specific use case, you got something that can be scaled internationally. That's really part of our strategy with Close, is to help them grow. Starting from their domestic market, which is France, but we're seeing a lot of opportunities for law firms across the globe, and especially in the region that I'm working on, which is continental Europe, Middle East, and Africa. A lot of opportunities for them in that region. So we're scaling that business internationally, every way we can, where it makes sense. But again, if you look at content, it will remain very local.
It's very interesting what you say about content being more local, but I guess legal solutions can be more global. Also, I have to say that I partly, but maybe not fully agree on the content being only local, as we are seeing around the globe processes of legal harmonization, what we see in the European Union. Content is not anymore local in the European Union. The use of the Anglo-Saxon way of practicing the law for business law, for example, is a way of making also. So I know there's this tension about between local and global, but I do see some trends for globalization in the content.
You're absolutely right. I wouldn't talk about tension. I would talk about dialogue, an open dialogue between common law and continental law, to put it in those words. And we see that as a global player working with markets, and especially, for instance, the CMA region, we have a lot of continental law. South Africa, for instance, is a common law country. We have a lot of common law countries in Africa. The Middle East and the Gulf in itself is a combination of both. Yeah. And you could even say, look at the French law. Public French law has a lot in common with UK common law in the role that case law had to create new norms. So it's an open dialogue. It's an ongoing dialogue.
No, you're right. Very nice to call it dialogue, and not tension. And one question about the market, about the business of legal tech. Where do you see this area, this discipline? Do you think we are at a moment where there are still many opportunities? There will be investment. There will be new tools, new legal solutions provided by legal tech. Do you see more space for new products, or do you see more space for the current products or possible changes in current products to expand and to having more legal service providers using the current
that's products? A great question. I'm not sure we have enough time to cover it all. But, it's going to be a combination of both. We talk about the legal tech like it's a single thing. It's an aggregate of several value propositions, several market segments, various solution spaces. Okay. And so actually there have been waves in the past, waves of innovation with different types of products. We've seen a lot of things, around drafting in the past 10 years, more recently on contract lifecycle management. And what we're seeing more and more, and obviously those solution spaces are going to continue to grow and to expand, but we are seeing a continuously new waves of innovation with new use cases, with areas that have not been invested in yet. And there will be a lot of innovation, and we've seen that with the startup from today. It's really amazing to see that there are new fields all the time, and there's white space for new players to enter those new fields. And I'm a strong believer that the way to go for new startups when they enter the market is to find relevant use cases. They might sound as niche use cases, and you could say, for instance, for Close, talking about transaction closing and transaction management, it can be some way. You can see that as a niche market. It's not All law firms are not doing that. We're not going to sell that to all law firms. But it's very scalable, so it's highly international, and it's very nascent as well. So there will be a lot of solution spaces where you don't have a lot of players. It's a lot of white space to conquer. And actually, if you look at, and if you scale internationally, if you don't look at it as a single market opportunity, you are going to be a very successful startup.
So still many opportunities.
And we are going to talk very soon.
Sector. And what is the impact that legal tech can have in legal services for clients, for lawyers, so for those who provide legal services, and for human resources, so for quantity and quality of lawyers accessing the profession?
I might start with that last point, because I think it has been a concern for many lawyers in the past, the fact that AI and automation will be replacing legal professionals at some point. I think that the past shows us, the whole history of our industry shows that technology has never really replaced people. Obviously, there are roles and missions that have changed dramatically and positively, and there are new ways to do the business, but we have more lawyers than ever before.
Yeah.
You can look at any country, the demographics are there. It's a growing industry. So it's not going to replace people. And I would say, and I'm going to be oversimplistic there, but I think there are three main impacts of the legal techs in the industry. The first one, the most obvious one, and that will be something that we have in common with any other industry, it's a productivity gain. Most players will come to the stage and tell you that lawyers are going to gain like 20% of their time back and getting a lot of money in a way because time is cost. And so there's a productivity gain. That's obvious, and that's something that we should look for. It's something that we need. What makes our industry very specific, what makes the legal world very specific, is that we also strive on legal certainty. All those startups, they need to help their clients achieve greater legal certainty. And that's something very different from other industries, especially if you look at AI, for instance. AI is okay in many industries when you achieve quality at 80% rate. It's great. You automate the process with 80% quality, everyone is going to be okay. You talk with a lawyer, it's not happening. Yeah. You don't want 80% quality, you want 100% quality. You need legal certainty. And that's a challenge and an opportunity at the same time for startups in our world, in our legal world, because you need to actually to work more and to achieve more to bring that legal certainty through innovation. And I would say that there's a third impact that's really key, and I won't have time to develop that too much, but it's the customer experience. Not only for the legal professionals that are going to use the tool, and I'm talking mostly about B2B products, but because I'm representing a B2B company, right? But there are other legal tech players that will be more B2C. But anyway, when you deliver a product to a lawyer, to a law firm, to an in-house counsel, to a magistrate, to the judiciary, it has to help them achieve a better customer experience with their own clients, even if they don't see the products in itself. Because of the productivity gain, because of the legal certainty gain, it needs also to leave them more time to discuss, to engage with the client, to be a little less technical, and all that time, that you got through productivity and through legal certainty need to be reinvested in the customer experience, in the interaction with the client, and with the people you're actually working with. And all that will make it a benefit to the rule of law.
Because we're coming to the end of our discussion. In particular, I'd like to ask you about the judiciary and the rule of law. How can legal tech contribute to the rule of law? How can legal tech provide access to justice to more people, and how can this contribute to make law more accessible for society?
Right. So the rule of law is actually different things. It's transparency of law, it's equality under the law, it's the independent judiciary, and it's also, like you say, the fact to have an accessible legal remedy. And if you look at those four main ideas of the rule of law, and you compare with what we've seen with the amazing startups that were on the stage just before us, you have a great example of that, to make the law more understandable, more actionable, to make the judiciary more accessible through all that kind of products, all that kind of solution that are currently developed by startups.
Thank you very much, Sebastian, and let's make sure that we keep working to promote legal tech startups and to make sure that legal tech can help us give a better legal service to clients, to society, and to promote the rule of law. And just in time, I think, believe the jury has delivered, have made their decision.
Ladies and gents, first a big round of applause for Sebastian and Soledad. Thank you so much.